Hello, everybody. It's David Schlotthauer here in the home weather office for the last day of February. This is Leap Day 2024. Tomorrow is March 1st, 2024. And today, we're going live again. This is not the first time I've been going live on a discussion in California. And maybe this will be my last for the season because a lot of people are going to be dealing with or are dealing with some heavy snowfall across the high country of the Sierra. We're going to be looking at the radar forecast. We're going to be timing out how long this snow is going to be lasting, when the heaviest snow is going to be, and why it's going to be snowing this hard for so long. We could be looking at some historic snowfall totals in a 2 to 3 day period over the Sierra because of how much snow we're looking at, and the winds are going to be very strong. All right, so in today's live discussion, we are going to be talking about a lot of these details on the snow, the blizzard conditions, maybe some avalanche danger with this. Does not surprise me with this system because there's going to be so much new snow on top of already old snow, and any backcountry skiing is highly discouraged. And any driving up to the Sierra is highly discouraged. So we're going to start off in looking at our live camera. This is actually, let's see where this is at. This is where is this at? Oh my gosh. Mount Rose. This is Mount Rose, in the Lake Tahoe area. And yeah, look how bad it is. The visibility there, not very good at all. You can barely see beyond those chairlifts. The trees in the background pretty much gone because of how much snow is coming down. The snowfall rate's really excessive right now, and some of that blowing snow really, some of the snow fall rates are so great that we're actually seeing whiteout conditions. So if you're doing any traveling, just don't do it. And it looks like the chairlifts here are closed. They're not open at all because of how heavy the snowfall rates are. If we look at another camera, this camera, did it go out on us? It was working earlier, so that's not working. And this camera here is still working, and gosh, you can't see much further up the hill here, up the mountain, because of just how heavy the snowfall rates actually are. All right, and let's see, Mountain Lodge, like literally, other than this building, you cannot virtually see anything other than snow accumulating on the camera. You can see that those are the snowflakes you all are witnessing. There's a couple more cameras I wanted to show you. Here's another one who wants to have a picnic. No one wants to have a picnic here at Diamond Peak because the snowfall is coming down. This is, by the way, near Lake Tahoe, where we're getting a lot of that orographic effect. And so any of the picnic tables here, or this looks to be a restaurant, but either way you put it, there is some accumulation here, just a little bit, but with that blowing snow, it's probably hard to get accumulation right on the tables. And yeah, the wind up there is blowing pretty hard, as you all can see, and it looks like this is probably blowing towards away from the camera, so we're seeing more southwesterly flow at this point, and the reduced visibility really illustrates that. We're also seeing, let's see this one, there's also snow coming down here pretty good, and people are skiing in this. People are just having a lot of fun out there. I probably would be out there skiing anyways, because I never get to see the snow, and boy, there's going to be a lot of snow falling here in the next couple of days. In the next 3 days, this is really going to accumulate. This building might actually not be there because we're talking feet of snowfall. Instead, if we go and look at one more camera, yeah, look at this. Visibility really, it's just not pleasant out there. And yeah, it's accumulating on these tables. Probably about an inch of snow has already fallen, maybe even a couple of inches, perhaps, maybe 1 or 2 inches. But yeah, that's a lot of snowfall. The chairlifts here are in motion, and that means people are still skiing and the ski place there is still open. But you can see the visibility at times getting reduced, and that's because of the snowfall rates. They're coming down pretty good. Let's look at one more camera. Here's another look at it from another angle, and you can see here, this is the Lake View Ski Resort. And yep, someone is getting ready to go skiing, except the chairlifts are not open. Okay, so that just tells you that good luck, guy going skiing. Just gonna probably ski all around just for the fun of it, right? Because yeah, it's not safe at all to be out there because of the rate. So now let's take a look at our satellite imagery, because there is a lot to talk about, not just because of the snow that we're talking about, but why there is going to be a lot of snow to come and a lot of rainfall for the lower elevations. This is also going to be a rain event. Not as significant as what we had in early February, where we had these warm atmospheric river storms. This is a very minor atmospheric river, but given the abrupt lift, a lot of the wind energy, and I'll be showing you that here in a little bit on the jet stream forecast from the GFS, that we're going to squeeze out so much water. Okay, a lot of orographic forcing here and a lot of cold air to work with, and there's a lot of instability to contend with. When we get cold air over warmer waters like this is why we see these popcorn-like clouds. This is actually thunderstorms out here in the Pacific. Really cold. Here is your jet stream coming down into Northern California. Here is your cold front on this imagery. You can actually see it right in here is where that cold front is located, right back in here. And so that's going to be moving through our area tonight. This is not the strongest system. There's going to be a lot of revigoration with this air mass as we go into the next 24 to 36 hours. More to come. Doesn't look like much after this, huh? It looks like, what are they talking about by feet of snow when we're dealing with just this moving through right now? Don't worry. The upper level support is definitely conducive for that. Okay, so keep that in mind. We're looking at a lot of forcing. We put this into motion. You can see what the flow is, where these clouds are coming from. They're coming from the Gulf of Alaska. They're coming from the Canadian Prairie, which, by the way, there are temperatures up there into the negative 20 to negative 30 territory. So all that cold air has to go somewhere, and it's going south, and it's going towards us. No, we're not going to see negative 20 or 30 degree temperatures. We will never see that in California unless you're in the very high peaks like Mount Whitney. You might see that in the future eventually, but nothing down to the surface. But what we're seeing here is much colder air aloft from that air mass, and it just gets blown right over these warmer Pacific waters, and they're able to squeeze out a lot of this moisture because we got lift, we got upward motion, we got downward motion. That's that sense of instability that we're seeing. So now when we zoom in closely to on this, you can see that, yeah, not a huge rainmaker by any means. You can see where the cold front actually is, but you can see southwesterly flow, actually more due westerly or west-southwest. Okay. And so when you go into the mountains here, it's a whole different story. The orographic, and you can really see it here. Don't pay attention to the high clouds, but take note. It's blue sky down here in Fresno. Yeah, Fresno seeing temperatures in the upper 60s today. Sunny skies, blue skies, not a bad day to walk the dog. But when you get into these mountainous areas, you're dealing with moderate to heavy snowfall. So you're seeing a whole transition from the sunny blue skies to the gloomy, gray, snowy skies in the mountains. And as we go forward, you can see just all of this snow, or all of these clouds dropping the snowfall over the region. We got rid of the high clouds. There was a lot of forcing early on, as you can see, but the winds are so strong at this level now that we're actually not able to get fierce clouds anymore to form because we have that jet streak screaming overhead. In fact, if we take a look at the 500 millibar analysis wind chart here, we're seeing 500 millibar winds at about 55 to even 75 to even 100 knots at this level. Now, the further north you go, those winds do increase, and the winds are on their way. They're picking up still at 500 millibars, and as that continues, we're going to start seeing orographic effects even stronger. You can't see Lake Tahoe, but look at right on the other side of this, blue sky again. So really, this is a very diffused weather system. Nothing too organized, and nothing like what we had in early February, where we were seeing a foot of rainfall in some locations like the coastal range mountains. This time around, we're probably going to only see about maybe 1 to 3 inches of rain in many spots. But when you get into the mountains of the Sierra, when you kind of melt all that snow, so we're looking at 10 to 12 feet of snow in some areas, or many areas will see up to 10 feet. Some isolated spots like the highest peaks could see up to 12 feet of snow. When you melt that down, we could be looking at an additional, maybe 10 to 15 inches of rain, of water equivalent to the snow. That is pretty extreme when you think about it, all right? 10 to 15 inches of rainfall. When you melt all the snow through, okay, and you get that water equivalent, you'll hear that oftentimes with snowfall, total water equivalent, and that's what we're looking at here. Okay, so a lot of snow in this year, orographic effects, and there will be times this weekend or today and tomorrow where skies are blue in some areas. You may not see hardly any precipitation. In fact, some models are only indicating that areas like Tracy, maybe Stockton, maybe Modesto, maybe Fairfield might only get possibly only a quarter of an inch through the next 3 days. So there's not a lot of moisture with this versus in the foothills where you're going to pick up more than 4 or 6 inches of rainfall. Yeah, definitely going to be a different story up there. So now let's take a look at our models. Let me find the perfect view here. Maybe this is not going to do it well. Actually, we'll have to use this screen. This is the HRRR model, and I'm using a different look at this. We're not going to use basically weather bell just because we're not going to use it today. So what we're looking at here is the air pressure. These are the lines. These black contours are the lines of equal pressure, and then you got your rainfall in green, your snowfall in blue, and then don't worry about a lot of this. This is actually freezing rain and slush or sleet. I don't think that's applying very much because the way the dynamics are, we go from rain directly to snow. But when you're in between that, you get a rain-snow mix. So let's go forward here. This is for this afternoon, all right? And as we can see, there is the cold front. That's what we're seeing. That is, if we go to satellite, that's this cloud cover right in here. This is where we're seeing a lot of heavy rainfall in the valley, moving into the Sierra as high elevation snow. So when we go back to the model, it's doing a pretty good job at picking this up quite well. And so then we can make a forecast and see what's going to happen with this line of rain. It's sure going to be raining pretty hard this evening. This is right around about, say, 6 o'clock tonight. Moderate to heavy rainfall. Strong winds in the valley. That's going to be a thing with this system. Nothing like what we had in early February, but we will have gusts between 25 to 35 miles an hour. But what you do see that continues from hour to hour to hour will be the endless snow in the higher elevations. These blue colors, this is 41 to 42 decibels. This is some pretty heavy snowfall rates of at least about 1 to 3 inches an hour. And look at the pressure gradient over the mountains here. you bet there's going to be some strong winds. Winds gusting over 50 to 60 miles an hour today. And that's going to continue. So, yes, see the valley? Not a whole lot going on. That's not really what this discussion is all about. The discussion is really to focus in on the foothills and the mountains because, yes, we do have viewers that live in the foothills and the mountains, and a lot of you are probably wondering about this. I made a couple of tweets on this already, which I don't normally do on a very extended basis, and also do I not normally go live in my local area because of how much snowfall is going to be accumulating and just the amount of rainfall for the foothills. But there will be rain in the valley. We're not going to see a whole lot of it. Again, there's going to be that contrast between the western side of the valley, the eastern side of the valley, and even into the foothills. So it's going to be an interesting system. So the rainfall moves through again this evening for your evening commute. We might get some dry periods, but again, if we actually go and look at the radar, let's kind of take this off. Let's go. All right, let's turn this little puppy off really quickly. We'll get back to that in just a second. Let's actually go to radar, and I want to just show you with what we're going to be dealing with. All right, very interesting. So if we go back to the last 30 frames, you can see that while there might not be a whole lot of activity, say in a zone, let's just use I-5. So I-5 is right here. So this is I-5 going all the way to Sacramento. So anything east of I-5 seems more wetter than areas west of I-5. So when we forward this, what is not so much of rainfall really gets squeezed out, and we get some pretty heavy pockets. Like Carbondale earlier, we had a pretty heavy cell of rain. We had a really intense cell of rain, and maybe even a clap of thunder here near Collierville earlier. And then you can see how that moves out. But look at, we get more pop-up storms. Here comes another one moving just over my area right now. And then, of course, we have the cold front up here, and look at this. This is some very heavy rainfall totals. That's the sort of thing that's going to be moving into our area like Stockton tonight. And, of course, the orographic effect of showers and snow will continue in the Sierra. What goes on in the valley now doesn't seem like a whole lot, doesn't mean a whole lot in the Sierra. A whole different ball game the further east and northeast you go. And yeah, this line of rain right here has contained a few lightning strikes. So yeah, if you're in Live Oak, if you're in Yuba City, you're going to get hit very soon with rainfall. And of course, the winds with this will be gusting up to 55 miles an hour. So yeah, maybe some down power lines, down trees, that sort of thing. And then behind that, we get to get some dry weather like in Red Bluff. But again, look at the Coastal Range Mountains, look at the Sierras, still dealing with that orographic effect. Only that the valley is going to participate in this line of rainfall. That's really the big story in tonight's weather, is that line of rainfall. So now let's go back to with what we need to talk about. So the snowfall is going to continue. But again, look at how these storms just pop up. All of a sudden, look at, it's dry 1 hour, right? This is in the morning hours for tomorrow. Friday is going to be a much active day in our area than what we're seeing today. It also is going to be windier because our pressure gradient here is also tighter. And take note, this flow is also out of the southwesterly direction. That helps to advect at least some moisture into our area. We're not seeing flow out of this direction where it's going to be more drier and where we don't get as good of orographic effect. In this case, we're seeing flow that is doing this, and it's hitting the Sierra Square just perfect. Just like at a 90-degree angle, we're getting just perfect flow upslope, and that's really going to help to squeeze out the moisture. Now, the snowfall today is going to be heavy at times, but then tomorrow, watch what happens. So this is right around 10 o'clock in the morning, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock. Look at just how heavy this could be, these are some really dark blue colors. We're seeing up to about 35 to even 50 decibels. So snowfall rates could be on the order of, say, 2 to even 4 inches an hour. And let's just say we get snowfall rates at as much as 5 inches per hour. So let me bring my face back. 5 inches an hour. So to put this into perspective, we're going to use a rule, my tape measure. So let's measure 5 inches an hour. So this is 5 inches of snow in the Sierra. Okay, let's see if can you guys see that? Just fine, right? Now let's add 2 hours. That's 10 inches. So you now end up with 10 inches of snow in 2 hours. And then let's go up another 5 inches, 15 inches in, say, in 3 hours. So 5, 10, 15, yeah, that's 1.5 feet of snow in a matter of 3 hours. This is the sort of thing that Caltrans, they're not going to be able to clear the roads very well. They're not going to be able to catch up. And that's why there's going to probably be road closures, and not just on freeways like Interstate 80, Highway 50, Highway 88. All these roads channeling into the mountains will be closed tonight and probably likely tomorrow. Do not travel. I highly encourage you all, just stay home. You can get to the mountains next weekend if you can't go this weekend. And maybe next weekend will be better to go to the mountains. We'll see about that, because there is another storm system that could be pretty strong that can bring more snow for our area. All right. So we're going to potentially see very heavy amounts of snow in that short amount of time. Now, I'm not saying that we're going to see 5 inches of snow per hour for 3 hours in a row. It's going to fluctuate, but there could be potential there, maybe 10 to 15 inches of snow in a matter of a few hours, which is very concerning. Think about this. Snowfall rates usually during winter storms over the Midwest, the Northern Plains, and the Great Lakes, even some nor'easters, you get snowfall rates maybe 1 to 2 inches an hour at most. In the Sierra, we're going to be seeing snowfall rates double that, 2 to 4 inches an hour on average. Most likely the outcome would be. But pockets where we get convective nature type, like there's a band here, you can see a little bit of a heavier band here. Some of these bands could contain heavier snowfall rates of up to maybe, say, 3 to 6 inches an hour. And that's enough to cause road closures, blizzard conditions, and a lot of other problems like downed trees, power lines, that sort of thing. So let's go forward. How is tomorrow? The rest, like tomorrow, midday and afternoon is just going to be a whiplash. Big, heavy, lots of moderate to heavy rainfall in the valley. We're probably going to get about 1/4 to 1/2 inch, especially east of I-5. More like 1/10 to maybe 1/2 inch of rainfall over the western side of the valley. Because again, we're going to see a lot of orographic. So we're going to see a lot of moisture hitting the coastal ranges. The lee side of these mountains are dry and sunny. And then you get onto the other side of the valley where we get upslope flow. We squeeze out all that moisture. It's like you're squeezing everything out like a sponge. And we get a lot of this precipitation. Winds, too, are going to be pretty strong. Probably on the order of 40 to maybe 50 miles an hour across the valley tomorrow. Tomorrow evening especially is when we get into wind problems along to go with that rainfall. But it doesn't last forever. You can see we're only going to see maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 4 hours of moderate to heavy rainfall, and then it kind of settles down a little bit, but not for the Sierra. The Sierra is going to be continuing with some really heavy rain or heavy snowfall through Saturday morning. And yeah, see these bands? If you're under any of these bands, of course, you could have much more heavier rainfall and Sierra snow. And again, that's where we might see local snowfall rates exceeding maybe 3 to 6 inches an hour. And yeah, look at this. Convective in nature, we're looking at that. And now this is the furthest this model only goes. So it's very, we'll look at the NAM here in just a second. But all of Saturday, so it looks like most of the day Friday and a good chunk of Saturday is a no travel zone at all for the Sierra. Do not go at all. Please stay home because the snow is going to be heavy. So now let's take a look at our NAM nest model, because this goes a little further out. And yeah, look at this. We got very heavy snowfall early on in the period. We could see up to maybe 36 to 40 decibels of snowfall rates. And look at it, just continues. So again, the valley will start to clear out by Saturday afternoon. Maybe some thunder activity too possible with that. Okay, so this is Saturday afternoon, and then maybe more showers, but nothing like what we have. But look at snowfall or snow levels come down. So look at the valley. You're going to see more drier periods on Saturday than what you'll see on Friday. But look at the Sierra. It's snowing because of that orographic effect, that flow still coming out of the west and out of the southwest. You're going to squeeze out a lot of moisture in this short amount of time. So once it's snowing up there now, and it's gonna, did I keep my face up this whole time? I am so sorry. I was sorry. Did I not show the models? I am so sorry, folks. I just looked at chat and you guys, like, your face is still up. Your face is still up. You guys are screaming. Sorry, I was literally not even looking at my two screens, and I was just looking at the center screen. Sorry, a little bit of a mess up. That gives me an opportunity to even show you all with what I'm actually talking about. Sorry. Oh my gosh, I'm guilty of that. Okay, so shrink that cam. Yes, I just did. So once everybody sees this, let me know if you could see the model. Just say model in the chat when you can see my screen with the model image up. Say model. And then we will talk about with what I just said. That's better. Okay, model. Okay, cheesy weather, same model. Okay. Model. Model, good, good, good. So everyone sees that. That's good. All right. I'm so sorry, folks, about that. My eyeballs were actually pointing, or were looking at this, not realizing that I forgot to change the scene of this whole stream. So I'm so sorry about that. Okay. So now is the time to get people, share this, like it, because now we're going to actually show you this. So, of course, this is now heavy rain, lightning strikes going on in the northern end of the valley. That's going to propagate southward. Take note, the snow is going to be flying this entire time. So you'll get fooled at times that, oh, the sun's out. I'm in Sacramento. I'm looking at the sun shining on the ground. It's blue sky or mostly clear skies at the moment. And you go up to the Sierra. It's like, whoa, wait, I forgot that it's still snowing. Because that's kind of the sort of thing that we see tonight. We're going to see, or today and tomorrow, blue skies in the valley at times. But there will be time, or most of the period, we're going to have blinding snow in the Sierra. So here it is, lots of the blue colors indicating snow in the mountains. This is for tonight into tomorrow early morning. So you can see the valley looking at quieter conditions. But look at, you can see how these storms, especially right in here, let me highlight this, especially right all east of I-5, all in the foothills and the eastern side of the valley is where we get this explosion of showers and stuff. So while the west may look kind of daunting, like, oh, it's going to dry out. Just kidding. We're in the foothills, and we got to realize that orographic effects will be extreme with this one. It will be kind of a standing wave pattern where it's dry is you're going to have unluckiness than prior storms. So when we go into Friday morning, we get periods of showers. and some thunderstorms perhaps because the colder air is in place. But look at the mountains here. You're going to still see snow, maybe lightening up at times overnight tonight, but snowfall rates of at least an inch an hour are guaranteed at this point throughout the entire duration of the snowstorm event. Now, there will be times tomorrow where we get into some heavier snow. And you can see that here. So by 10 in the morning, not so much. But once we get that daytime heating and we get the orographic effects that are stronger, look at just everything lights up in green more significantly. The snow gets going in this here. And take note of the isobars. Look how tight that pressure gradient is. Let's kind of right in here. This is really tight. This is about 1 or 2 in the afternoon. And we're looking at some periods of pretty intense rainfall, thunderstorms, small hail. We're looking at some hail storm with this because we have lots of cold air to contend with aloft. And the surface is not as warm as what we had in early to mid-February. Instead, we're going to have much colder air aloft, and that allows the hail to be a big deal with these storms. So instead of a tornado threat and a damaging wind threat, we're going to really get the hail threat going. And so we can see moderate to heavy rainfall by Friday afternoon. It looks to be a mess Friday afternoon. For the evening commute, we're looking at 42 decibels here of these reflectivity, even 50 decibels. So in context, if we look at radar really quickly here and we kind of zoom over this, some of these red colors right here are about 50 decibels, even 54 decibels. And just think of this, the orange colors are about 40 to even 45 decibels. So we're looking at a lot of oranges, maybe some reds on the radar tomorrow afternoon across much of the Sacramento area. Even so this doesn't look all that bad, it is not going to be pretty once it gets into the Sierra in the form of snow. Let's go forward here. We have some rain bands here, even exceeding 43 decibels, maybe even 55 decibels. So some rainfall rates exceeding 1 or 2 inches an hour at times, turning the snow in the Sierra. Look at all this blue. This is Friday evening, and it's going to be really Friday night, Friday afternoon-ish, all the way into Saturday morning, where we will see snowfall rates as high as 4 to even 5 inches per hour. And then once we go beyond that, we're still looking at snowfall in the mountains of the Sierra. So we're contending with a lot of problems, road closures and damaging winds. And here's another swath of moisture that gets underway maybe into, say, Saturday afternoon and evening. And so when we kind of transition this into the NAM nest model, we can see with what is going to shape up. So here's the NAM. Orographic flow is going to continue. Take note of all the blue colors. That's very heavy snowfall in the Sierra. And these banding futures might exacerbate that. So we might see snowfall rates, again, well over 2 inches an hour. And then this continues. Look at some green colors over the valley yet again, meaning moderate to heavy rainfall is expected Saturday afternoon and evening. And then things calm down by Saturday night into Sunday, while the Sierra will still have snow. And what I mean by that is if we look at the 12 kilometer, which goes even further out in time, look at this. It is still snowing in the Sierra. Maybe a little bit of a break for Sunday night into Monday, but still, we're going to still see some snow flying up there, potentially into Monday morning. So we're looking at a period now through Monday early next week. How about that? So that is, let's see, Thursday. So if you count today, because today's kind of the first full day, so Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So that's 4 days of snowfall, and maybe 4.5 days if we can get this into Monday morning. That is alarming. That is definitely a lot of snow in a 4-day period. So now let's take a look at rainfall. So let's go back to, let's use the NAM nest model, just depending on how much rain, what model you look at. So we're going to look at the total accumulated precipitation. So on this model, there's probably only going to be about an inch. Now, again, this is not falling within the next, say, 12 to 24 hours. This is in the next almost 3 days. So that's why there's not going to be a huge flood concern. Now, in the mountainous terrain, this is really overdoing it. 10 inches of rainfall in some of these higher elevations, I really doubt that that's going to happen. We're probably going to see anywhere between maybe 1 to 3 inches at most. In the Sierra foothills, though, you're going to see a lot more moisture, definitely 3 to 6 inches. Some of the higher elevations here, again, this is if you melt the snow into rainfall, you might see a foot of water equivalent into the foothills and mountains of the Sierra. So let's take a look at the HRRR model. And this is the 18Z run. Actually, wait. There we go. This is the proper run. We're not going to use the other models because they only go out to 18 hours and they're not complete model runs. This model in particular, in the next 2 days, wants a little bit more rain. Maybe 1.5 inches in the Sacramento area. The Rockland area, say like Roseville, might get as much, actually, let me make sure. Citrus Heights, yeah, there's Roseville. So like Roseville might get maybe 1.75 inches of rainfall in 2 days. Now that's a little more significant, but notice the mountains here in the coastal ranges, more like that 2 to 3 inch range. So we're, again, not a huge rain producer for the coastal range mountains. Maybe the northern end is likely to see more additional rainfall, maybe as much as, say, 3 to 5 inches. Now, the mountains here of the Sierra could get maybe 8 to 10 inches of water in 2 days. Remember, this is through Saturday morning. We have all of Saturday to get through. We have all of Sunday to get through before this is before this is over with. So what I'm trying to say here is we're not done at this point. There will be additional accumulation. You can see how it is actively accumulating beyond this period. And when we look at the NAM, we finished this model through. This is even showing maybe 10 inches of water. Now, this is not a high-res model, but when we look at the GFS model, right here, this is through Sunday night, and there's 10 inches. 10 inches of water equivalent at these elevations. Now again, we have had already a lot of snowfall that has fallen in that area. So if we kind of look at the 12Z run, this would be the potential maximum, maybe a foot of water with this system. Now, you're going to start seeing downtrends because the system is now impacting the mountains already. So don't get fooled by that, which, by the way, this is even picking up almost 2 inches of rain in the Central Valley in that 3 to 3.5 day period. So we are going to get some rain. This is not going to be a bust. There will be some sunny breaks, but there will be times where you get under one of these bands of heavy rainfall where you're going to just be getting drenched. So now, what about the snowfall totals? Okay, and for that, let's take a look here. I wanted to show you all the 6 hourly snowfall rates. This is kind of a good way to look at things. So we can see, this is in Katura because our snowfall ratios are there for that. Look at some of these. Per 6 hours, we're looking at 19 inches potentially in the higher elevations. Some of the lower elevations, maybe 9 inches. So let's just kind of put this into perspective. Let's just say 20 inches. So 20 inches of snow, okay, 20 inches of snow divided by 6 hours, that's about 3.3 inches of snow per hour. That's really, really significant, and that's not the heart of this event. This is through Friday morning. Now let's go into Friday afternoon, and this is really concerning. 30 to 30 inches. So let's just say 30 inches of snow falls in 6 hours. Okay, 30 divided by 6. That's 5 inches of snow per hour. Okay, that is very significant. Maybe even 6 inches in the highest peaks here of the greater Lake Tahoe area. Okay, so big time snowfall rates in these higher elevations, and then the snow rates come down as we go into Saturday afternoon, into early Sunday. So it's this period right in here from Friday afternoon through Saturday morning when we're looking at some tremendous snowfall rates. Now, there's one area up here, 40 inches. Now, of course, no one lives this high up in elevation, but this is kind of exerting the highest end possible outcome. 40 inches of snow in 6 hours. So let's kind of do that. 40 inches of snow divided by 6. That is almost 7 inches of snow in an hour. That's not good. That's not... If there's any highways that go through there, if there's any ski resorts, do not attempt to drive through this. Snowfall rates are going to be immense. Right now, they're not super duper duper quadruply bad, but take note of how bad it is now with snowfall rates. Let's go back to these cameras. Actually, it's a lot better up there now. Yeah, it's not snowing as hard as it did earlier. Boy, it was really coming down for a little bit there. So at least some areas have gotten a break from the snow, but it will be back in no time. And if we look at this camera, you can see not snowing very hard at all now. Maybe about 1/4 of an inch of snow per hour. But even so, that's enough to cause a little bit of problems. But what I'm saying here is this is not the worst of it. This is definitely not even close to with what we will be seeing late tonight into the day, tomorrow afternoon, and then especially tomorrow night into Saturday morning is when we're going to be seeing a lot of that. So now the snowfall ratios, I wanted to show you all this because this is really important. Because as the colder air comes in, and we have about the same amount of moisture, colder air holds lesser moisture, and so therefore our snow ratios are going to be higher. So right now our snow ratios up in the mountains, now again, this is kind of showing us the different outcomes. The 10:1 ratio, the 10:20 ratio, the 10:40 ratio. If you get a 10:40 ratio, that is extreme. That is extremely dry snow. You're not going to get a whole lot out of that. So for every 10 inches, 10:1, 40:1. Actually, it's 40:1, not 1:40. Sorry about that. So for every 40 inches of snow you get 1 inch of water equivalent. So imagining this, let's just say this. 40, let's just pretend and hypothetically say we did get that. 40 times 12. That would be 480 inches of snow just to get you 12 inches of water equivalent. That would be a disaster in the mountains. That would be an all-time disaster that California has never witnessed. Thank goodness we're not going to see that, but it's just kind of showing you these ratios are very important. So right now the ratios in the mountains now are 14:1. Okay, so for every 1 inch of water you get, so if you melted that through, you get 1 inch. So 14. So let me just word this differently. So you get a snow, you sample 14 inches of snow, right? You collect 14 inches of snow, you melt it down into liquid form, you get 1 inch, okay? You get 1 inch of water. So in this case, you could, snowfall ratios are a little on the dry side, not very, very wet. Very wet ratios are lower numbers. So let's just put it this way. Ratios, by the way, go up at night because we get that cooling. But let's just say this is a very warm system and your snowfall ratios are like 1 to 4. That's a very, very wet snow because the 4-in-1 ratio means for every 4 inches of snow you get 1 inch of liquid water out of it, okay? Versus higher ratios. So think about it this way. Lower numbers are wetter snow, higher numbers are drier snow. So let's kind of go forward in time. So overnight tonight, those ratios come up to perhaps 15 to almost 18 inches. That's pretty high. Okay, the snow is going to be drier. Look at up here in Mount Shasta. Snowfall ratios even perhaps 30 inches. So that's definitely up in the dry side of things. So the snow is pretty dry atop Mount Shasta. Then the snow ratios kind of go down a little bit tomorrow because we get some daytime heating, but still higher than they are today. This is the more impactful accumulating snow. So we can be looking at 10 to 15 ratios throughout the Sierra tomorrow. So drier snow tomorrow, it accumulates a little faster because of those snowfall rates. And then look at what happens. This is when we get into concerning territory. Saturday morning is when we get our ratios up to about 24 inches, perhaps. Some of these areas even 25 inches. So imagining this, okay, if you want to get an additional 1 inch of water, you need to get 24 inches of snowfall, which we have no problem doing. So in other words, the snow is drier Saturday morning than it will be tomorrow morning and tomorrow afternoon. And it makes sense because that's when we're going to get our colder air coming in. And then snow ratios don't really improve very much throughout the day. So now let's take a look at our snowfall accumulation now. So let's kind of go through this. So this is through Friday morning. So you can see some areas now, some of this could be over exacerbating because of how the HRRR and how the NAM models handle this. So I would probably take this with a grain of salt. Just keep that in mind. So what you're about to see here, actually we're going to use, we could use the HRRR and then we'll use the higher other models to kind of compare them. So through tomorrow morning, 46 inches. 46 inches of snow will have accumulated. Okay, and remember, the snow started before this run. So this is the 18Z run. So it was snowing pretty hard in the Sierra at this point. So you can kind of think about by tomorrow morning, some of these areas could get maybe 50 inches of snowfall just through tomorrow morning. That's not the worst of it. And then look at by tomorrow afternoon, snowfall totals really come up. 44 inches, we got 65, 72 inches, we got 50 inches. Lake Tahoe, 25 inches, that's 2 feet in about 30 hours. That's a lot. Okay, so there's going to be road closures. The airport there is going to probably be shut down because of the snowfall amounts. Take a look at Reno. Reno might not get hardly anything, maybe about an inch, and that's because of the snow shadow. And you can really see it here. Blue skies in Reno, big time snows right now in the Lake Tahoe area. In fact, we're actually breaking out to some blue skies now in the east shore of Lake Tahoe. So it's actually improved there quite a bit versus what you're seeing over the Donner Summit. It's a whole different ballgame. So yeah, this would be very interesting. Then the more accumulation, more heavy snowfall accumulation happens. And again, this is through Saturday morning, folks. Look at some of these areas. 103 inches of snowfall. We got 136, 142 inches of snowfall right in that location. 123, 125. Here is Donner Pass right over here, maybe 100 inches, 115 inches throughout this area of the Sierra. And then that's not even the end of it. Let's go to the Nam Nest because this kind of goes out further. And you can see here 165 inches 165 inches. And see here if we get any higher numbers. 152. Maybe 126 inches with this. So we're looking at snowfall accumulations at least 120 inches, maybe 140 inches in some areas. So if you think about it, 140 inches. Okay, so 140 inches. Let's just kind of go make this simple. 140 inches is about 12 feet of snowfall, which is possible given what the National Weather Service is saying. But what if some of the peaks reach 160 inches? That gives you 13 feet of snowfall in that period of time. Okay, and then the NAM model. Let's take a look at that. Let's see what that's showing us. Okay, load. Also in that ballpark of 120 inches, 122 inches, 130 inches. Wow. On a non-high-res model. That's really alarming. 75 inches in Lake Tahoe. That is to be taken pretty seriously if you're thinking about traveling to the Sierra. So big time snow there. Let's see if I missed anything. No, I don't think I did. I don't think I did at all. I think we covered. Oh yeah, temperatures. I wanted to show you all the temperature on the NAM. So this is the 850 millibar. Actually, can we use this for the HRRR? No, we can't. We can't get low-level dynamics. We're going to use the wrap model then. So we can see decent cold air advection throughout the region tomorrow through the next couple of days, and that's what's going to bring our temperatures down and allow some better mixing at the surface. So we can see temperatures today, the snowfall levels are rather high because our temperatures aloft at 850 millibars, which again is at 5,000 feet, right? This is above the surface. Watch this cold air come in. So as we go forward, you can see right in here, even by tomorrow morning, we're going to see freezing temperatures at 5,000 feet. So that means Lake Tahoe will be in the 20s tomorrow morning. Then we warm it up a little bit, but then look at this. This is going to be the big deal right here. This is Friday afternoon. Take a look at this temperature gradient. Lots of decent cold air advection coming in. And then you can see we're seeing temperatures -5 Celsius. So that is right around 25 degrees Fahrenheit, roughly. That is pretty cold. Okay, and that's at 5,000 feet. So you can imagine snow levels are going to be down to, say, 2,000 feet, even 3,000 feet, maybe even down, maybe some powder, maybe a dusting down to maybe 1,500 feet perhaps with this because of how cold that air is going to be. And of course, you go even to the north of that, we're down to -7, even 8 degrees Celsius. That is really, really cold. Okay, and that's going to allow the instability to shape up. Yep, I was saying mid-20s. Craig, it's about 25 degrees. So that's pretty cold. That means Lake Tahoe could have temperatures in the teens in the morning hours for Saturday, and that's where we get our high ratios from. The drier snow, the more powdery stuff, and then the temperatures go up a little bit on Saturday, but still pretty cold throughout our region as that trough remains in effect. So now, why are we going to see such strong orographic lift? So when we take a look here, if I got tropical tidbits, oops. Hold on a second, folks. Let me fix that. This is a little cuckoo caca. There we go. That's a little bit better. It's a little bit better. So this is the wind pattern that I wanted to show you all. Okay. And as we go forward, of course, take note, the Sierras run this way. All right, and look at the flow. Even at 250 millibars, it's southwesterly. So we got perfect alignment with this deep layer flow over California. So as we go forward, watch this. This is Friday afternoon. This is Friday night, Saturday morning. Take a look at that. That is really strong flow. That is 170 knots over the Sierra mountain range. And you can even see some orographic and amplification of a torque event, a gravity wave barrier flow over the Sierra. That is incredible to see. That is incredible. When you see amplification like that, that tells you the deep layer flow is going to align itself even in the low levels. It is going to be a recipe for some very heavy snow. Here's your subtropical jet down here, and here's your polar jet. That is a really, really optimal setup for exceptionally extreme orographic effects over the California region. Okay, and then this trough then eventually will lift out. Yeah, it's gonna even clip, say portions of Utah. Oh, European AI system plots have been added. Limited set available. Oh, thank you, Tropical Tidbits, for that. So we can see there's the orographic effect, and take note, even in Salt Lake City as well, you're going to get some decent snow out of this system too. So it's not just a California thing. It's also going to be Salt Lake City. It's going to be Idaho. Going to be a nasty look across the Intermountain West because of, this storm system that's coming in. Remember, all of this activity, all of this, I'm going to circle this in red. Okay. All of this, not over here. Oops. Right in here, this is all going to hit California. All of this colder air. And if we actually look at a sector in Alaska, there we go. So we can see right here, almost did it again. Forgot to change scenes, but did it now. So you guys can't say anything. You can see cold air. You can just see it blowing off. And look at the ice up here in Alaska. So this is some very cold air blowing over the relatively warm ocean waters. And this is how you get these thunderstorms that develop. Okay, there's Alaska right in here, the Gulf of Alaska. This is British Columbia. And you can see how this all sets up. Really cold. So just keep that in mind, that some of you all that live in California, a lot of you are probably watching this in California in the first place. There's going to be a lot more activity than what's coming right now. It doesn't look like a lot. That's the whole purpose of this. But just be aware that we're not done yet. So you can see more orographic showers popping up in the Central Valley right now. So this is prefrontal convection really setting up. So when you get under some of these showers, it could come down pretty hard briefly. These are fast-moving showers at the moment. And then here comes your cold front. This is going to swing its way through, and it's going to be intense once it does so. Really, really heavy rain up there in Orville. Maybe some lightning strikes too with that. So just be aware. So now that we talked about that, let me take this off and let me switch over to our extreme forecast. So this is the next 2 to 3 days, and what you're going to see here is all this purple. And a lot of you are probably wondering, what is this purple? That's extreme. That's the word extreme. And what this means here, I know it's hard to see. Expect substantial disruptions to daily life. extremely dangerous or impossible driving conditions. Travel is not advised. Extensive and widespread closures and disruptions to infrastructure may also occur. Okay, life-saving actions may be needed. And this doesn't say it here, the potential for avalanches and, of course, blizzard conditions. So this is a large area. A lot of this purple. This includes areas like Kybers, if you're going up towards Christmas Valley, then into Myers, which, by the way, there is a major impact, but still, this is a major. The difference between major and not doesn't mean a whole lot. It's going to be a significant storm by all means. With the serious conditions, King Vale on Interstate 80, just not a good time to go up there at all. Just not pleasant. Okay. And then you get minor impacts. And then, of course, in the lower elevations, you get winter driving conditions. Drive carefully. It's, you can drive up there, but still don't even bother going to the mountains, period. Just don't. That's all I ask. Okay, so let me turn this off. And then let's take a look at with what we have as far as our flooding. Yes, there is going to be some flooding below the snow line. There is a marginal risk for heavy rainfall all across the foothills into the northern end of the Central Valley, like Whiskey Town, Shasta Lake, under a marginal risk for heavy rainfall. And then Eureka under a marginal risk today. And then tomorrow, there is no flood problems. Maybe this is tomorrow and today is past. So this looking at more impacts. So let me see, make sure I covered everything good. Good and clean, right? Oh, I wanted to show you all the National Weather Service. Right here. So, of course, today through Saturday, extreme impacts. I would think probably moderate impacts could be introduced for Sunday as well. Maybe even major impacts for this year especially. And then Monday, much quieter weather returns. We're looking at little impacts, maybe minor impacts at the most. But wow, through Saturday, it's not going to be good. It's definitely not. The snowfall forecast, you can see right there, definitely significant snow on this. And then precipitation forecast, there it is, Blue Canyon, up to 10 inches of total water equivalent. And then, of course, isolated thunderstorms possible, ponding of water on roadways, slick conditions, and longer than normal travel. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Just not a pretty time. Blizzard warnings. I wanted to show you all this. Now, it does say 10 feet of snowfall, but when you actually go to their discussion, some snowfall amounts exceeding 10 feet, maybe up to 12 feet perhaps. Yeah, not very pretty. Okay, so this forecast is like this. 5 to 10 feet of snow above 5,000 feet, 1 to 4 feet of snow above 3,000 feet, lighter accumulations down to 2,000 feet, wind gusts up and over 65 miles an hour, maybe even topping 80 miles an hour in the higher elevations. Then impacts extremely difficult to impossible travel, whiteout conditions, and near zero visibility. Excessive travel delays, chain controls, road closures likely, down trees, branches, and extended power outages. And again, travel is highly discouraged. I've said it billions and billions of times in this live stream. You guys are probably telling me, please shut up about the travel is highly discouraged crap, David. You're saying it too much. We know already. But I really want to emphasize that, that this is nothing to mess with. This is really nothing. This is a blizzard warning, not a winter storm warning. That too is just as bad as a blizzard warning, because a blizzard warning does not mean you're going to get even more snow than a winter storm warning. It just means that heavy snow combined with very strong winds up and over 65 miles an hour usually lead to blizzard conditions. All right. So that's what that kind of advertises, the blizzard warning versus a winter storm warning. Which, by the way, in the valley, too, we got wind advisories. So we're going to be looking at some strong winds across the Sacramento and the San Joaquin Valley. Wind gusts, again, up and over 45 to even 55 miles an hour. So maybe more power lines down and down trees, that sort of thing. Let's actually go to the wind forecast. A lot of you are probably wondering, what is the wind going to look like for the valley? So this look at the NAM model. So as we go to 5 p.m., you can see the winds are going to be gusting up to 27 to maybe perhaps 30 miles an hour as the cold front rolls through. And then you can see the wind's going to be strong overnight tonight. Winds come down a little bit, kind of back and forth. Not going to be an entirely calm night. And then go forward. Tomorrow, the winds get gusty again, especially by tomorrow afternoon. As we go forward, we get winds in the valley between 30 to even 40 miles an hour. Winds in the Sierra are going to be very strong. That's a guarantee. And then as this front pulls through, right here, right in here, maybe 40 to maybe 50 miles an hour. So we're looking at some strong winds, maybe even 50 miles an hour around the Sacramento area. Higher elevations, 64 miles an hour for tomorrow night. And that's why, again, that blizzard warning is in effect. And take note where the winds are, too. The winds are actually going to be at the surface right here. They come out of this direction, and then they kind of curve up, and they kind of turn, because of that upslope flow and the mid-level flow that allows that to happen. So that's why we're going to be looking at orographic effects. Any questions, anybody? Any questions about with what I talked about? Wanted to show you all the extreme forecast really quickly. So the winds, definitely a big issue for the Sierra. And of course, rain, in this case, would be snow for the mountains, 98%, and then it gets about a little higher on Friday before things calm down on Sunday. Yeah, this is a pretty significant rainfall right here. You need moderators. I thought... So any questions, anybody, about this storm at all? I know a lot of you are probably going to start spitting out, oh, what you should talk about the storm for the Midwest next week. That looks significant. I can only do so much at a time, but I am aware of it. There is that same system actually impacting the West is going to eventually eject into the Midwest and the Southern Plains. Maybe some severe weather by the early to the middle of next week. We'll have to keep an eye on models for that. And some of you are probably going to say, oh, there's also a nor'easter on the 9th of March. Which, again, I strongly, highly encourage a lot of you to not just focus on one run and look at the overall model guidance. Because that's going to kind of give you more of a picturesque view of what might end up happening. Because that is a pretty intense nor'easter, but again, a lot of uncertainty that actually happens. Models, especially in the springtime, don't do the best. I still don't see it here in the description. What are you guys referring to as far as description? I'm looking for David Discord server number. Okay, I encourage you all to join the Discord server. I'm not going to give my actual account out so you all can just send me a friend request. But there is a Discord server that you are able to participate in. So click the link in the description and you will be able to join the server. If that's what you all are referring to, it's down there below. Just look in the description and it should have like join Weather Force today and it should have the invite code. If it doesn't work, just let me know. Well, you could actually see Lake Tahoe again. Look at that. You can see Lake Tahoe. Maybe some snow at times, occasionally. I will pin the link in the comments, yes. Let me do that since you all are not able to find it, which it's clearly down there in the description. So there we go. So it should be there now. So you all are able to join it. What's up, Saint Angel? David, hey, enjoying your stream. Keep up the great work. Thank you so much. I will, Saint Angel. I will definitely keep up with the great work because we are dealing with a very strong storm system. I know it doesn't look all that big on satellite, but sometimes you just can't look at satellite for the best. Because we clearly have a lot of moisture coming in. And it's clearly indicated here on the air mass. This is a really cold air mass coming in. So any questions? Any questions? Thank you so much, Reggie. I do appreciate that. I'm glad you like the view. I'm also glad you all like watching my videos that I do create. If you guys are new, please consider subscribing. Can you take a look at the system rain totals for the Louisiana storm? Yeah, let's actually... Wow, got really windy again. Really windy. Boy, I could hear it. Huge wind gust. So let's take a look at the... You know what? Let me go over here. Let me go over to a different sector. Let's go to Louisiana. Let's take a look at the rainfall totals. Here we go. And this is the wrap. So we need the GFS. Wow, actually, that is a lot of rainfall. Oh, okay, here's the... So, we'll go a little beyond 5 days here. Rainfall totals for Louisiana could be quite abysmal. 5 to maybe even 7 inches of rainfall. There's actually a risk for flooding down there in Mississippi, in Louisiana with that next system. That's going to be the storm system that a lot of people are going to start talking about, because there's nothing just better than tracking one storm. You got to track the others ahead out there. So the storm that's going through now, maybe about 1.5 inches of rainfall. And then there's going to be additional rainfall after that. Now, be specific here. Looks like the Deep South could end up getting a lot of rainfall over the next couple of weeks. But if we go between each model run, there is a lot of inconsistency. But yeah, some pretty high numbers down here. Maybe a foot of rainfall in the next couple of weeks for Louisiana, southern Mississippi, and Alabama. And that's averaging out the last 4 model runs. Really aggressive here for Louisiana, Mississippi with rainfall. So yeah, if you're down here, just be aware, more rainfall, maybe some severe weather too, where we could be looking at that. In fact, if we look at supercell composite parameters, yeah, might see something down here, especially southeastern Louisiana. Let's take a look at a sounding on that really quickly. Doesn't look to be too extreme, but definitely still some severe weather. Yeah, there is some curvature to the photographs, the kinematics, and the kinematics don't look stupendously good. The thermals don't look too bad. Modest instability over the area. So there is a potential for some severe weather down there. But once that gets closer, we'll know a lot more. It's still a little on the early side. We're still technically in February. Tomorrow's the first day of March. It's not usually until late March when we really start looking at severe weather. Even mid-March, the second half that is when severe weather season really gets going. But yeah, again, lots of rainfall for the Deep South. I did not want to forget about that. And I'm hoping you all are ready for that. You do need rain. You do need more water to get the drought removed, because there are some areas down there. Actually, if we go to the drought monitor, actually not too bad in Louisiana. Good. So there is some huge removal of that. And there will be more rain coming. So probably going to annihilate the drought. And the worst drought right now out of this whole map is actually going to be in New Mexico. The only area that is under an exceptional drought, the southeastern side. Iowa's in extreme drought. So, yeah, it's really bad down here. You haven't had a whole lot of rainfall, unfortunately, for the New Mexico area, or any storms to at least help that out. See what the drought is like in California. See if we've gotten better. No, we haven't, but we're about to annihilate that with this storm system coming in. So that's going to be good news. Good news coming for the West. More rain, more Sierra snow. It's only good when we get it, but it's not so good when it really falls and it causes a lot of problems. Storm Chaser Griffin, I've noticed you're spamming. Please do not spam at all. I can just tell you're just spamming up a storm. Oh yeah, Saints Angel, there's going to be a lot of snow for us, yeah. Also, since Saints Angel is here, you're probably wondering what it's going to be like in your area. And I have bad news. It's going to be very warm. In fact, portions of Iowa next week could be in the mid-70s. I'm not joking about that. Mid-70s in Iowa. That is all-time records could be challenged. And if we look at that here on the model, the European, look at this. Really warm up here, right out ahead of that cold front. Geez, 40 degrees above normal. Even some low 80s. How about that? Low 80s in southern Iowa. That far north. Again, that far north, you're talking 80-degree temperatures. Even in, say, Oklahoma, maybe even 80 degrees. And that is because we have that big gradient between warm air to the east, cold air off to the west. That creates a really strong temperature gradient between these two air masses. And the ending result is going to be some record high temperatures. In fact, Michigan, especially western Michigan, will most certainly have temperatures in the 70s on Sunday. And then maybe even some mid to upper 70s on Monday next week. So really warm temperatures. Really warm. And sadly, it is not going to end anytime soon. In the next 10 days, we'll have well above average temperatures across the eastern half of the nation. Which isn't too surprising because when we actually look at our Climate Prediction Center, it does indicate that it's just extreme. This is the pattern of extremeness, I would say. One area is too warm and the other area is too cold. When we look at the 8 to 14 day forecast, pretty much the same thing. Not much improvement. Precipitation wise for the west, above average in the next 14 days, still above normal. So yeah, we're going to add on to the already wet conditions that we're seeing. Which, by the way, the next 4 weeks could be very warm up here in the Great Lakes. I'm not kidding when I say that. Really warm up here. So, yeah, I think winter might be done. Even in the next month. This is for March, looking warmer than average for the Northeast. And look at this, wetter than average for our area for March. So that is good news. And even warmer than average. So literally the next 3 months could really be troubling for the East. Really not seeing much in the way of Arctic outbreaks. And you are probably like, oh man, I want winter back, please. Too bad. It's El Nino. You could handle one winter being warmer than average. I'll take 60 degrees. So, any questions about that? Any questions? Because I'm going to head off here by about 4:30. Today was a weather discussion day. I just hope and pray that you all are going to be safe into the mountains. If you even want to travel, it's up to you, but it is discouraged. It is discouraged. I wish they made a law for that, that in traveling in the Sierra with when there's blizzard warnings, you can't. It's against the law. Because that's how a lot of accidents and spinouts happen. Because people do not listen. I'm watching here from my phone in the shower, laughing out loud. Oh, okay. But yeah, some of these heavy showers coming through. One is headed towards Live Oak. So if you're in Live Oak and watching this, Yeah, there's a very heavy shower moving through. This is going to be quick, but it's going to also be intense. And look at the rain coming down in the foothills of the Sierra Alta, Nevada City, getting a lot of water right now. It's raining there. No snow yet on this particular radar at the moment. When we look at the Truckee or the Reno radar, I'm sure it's snowing at lake level, though. About 30 degrees there, so. All right, I don't think anyone has questions, and that is fine with me. That is perfectly fine. All right, so anyways, I sure hope you all enjoyed this. If you did, please consider subscribing. I love you guys. You guys mean a lot to me. And I will see what I can do tomorrow. Tomorrow might be an iffy day. That's because I have visitors coming over to borrow my green screen, and they're going to be actually doing some stuff in my room with the green screen, so might be a lot of action in the office if I do bother recording. I'll probably make a video in the late in the morning and release that by early afternoon so you all can view it. But otherwise, I do appreciate your guys' time and well-being to being here, watching the live stream, enjoying and hanging out with me. And I will be back with you more, most possibly tomorrow. All right. But I love you guys. And yeah, be safe, be weather aware. Don't be weather stupid, and don't be weather weird, because being safer than to be sorry is the way to go. All right. Share, like, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.